One of my favorite types of fishing is steelhead fishing. It's a lot more like hunting than fishing. You might spend a whole day, or even a whole week, just trying to get one shot at catching a big steelhead. But there's something about catching a 30 to 36 inch fish that just makes it all worth it. One of the promises I made to myself when we decided to move up to Alaska is that I wouldn't spend all my time working on my homestead. Otherwise, I may as well just live where I live now and make vacation trips up to Alaska. On this spring trip, we only had 10 days on the ground. But I'm keeping my promise to myself, and this whole day is devoted to catching a steelhead, or at least giving it a shot. Well, looks like this might be the end of the road. It didn't start out well, since the road to the stream I wanted to go to was still snowed in. Time for plan B. I chose another location. This one happens to be where a stream flows into a lake. Sometimes the steelhead will hang out on the gravel bars and pick up the easy feed. Right now I'm just floating a couple of flies that have treated me pretty well in the past. It's a slow-moving current here, so the fish have plenty of time to look at your offering. This gravel bar seems to go on forever. You gotta pay attention in a spot like this. I've seen gravel bars turn to muck in one step, and that muck could be 2 feet deep, which could put you over your waders and make it impossible for you to get out before they filled. I had a close call like that once, and now I really watch myself when I hit a lake. This lake's cooperating pretty well though, staying about knee deep, which is perfect. Once in a while I'll go up to the thigh, which is less perfect. I just kind of work my way along the gravel bar, trying to stay in the shallower spots. After about 20 minutes with no luck, I was about ready to head home. But then, at the very tail of the gravel bar, I saw a big fish surface. I decided I should give that spot a little more attention. I also switched from a floating presentation to a stripping presentation. On about my 4th cast, I got a significant bump. On the 5th cast, I saw a big V-wake headed towards my fly, and boom, fish on. That's a fish. That's a nice fish. That's a really nice fish. No clue how I'm gonna land this fish. Problem was, I was about 100 yards back to shore. There was no guarantee that I'd be able to make it there. And I wasn't going to be able to land a fish in this type of water, especially without a net. Land ho! You're a pretty fish. Your tail. That is a fish. That was a pretty substantial fish, so of course I had to fish it some more.
What are you? You're a snagaroo, but what are you? Dolly. Hey, Dolly.
Not exactly sure how I hooked that dolly in the side. I had 2 more strikes, but they didn't stay on very long, so it was time to head to another location. There was another river I wanted to fish. My plan was to hike to the ocean and then fish up from there. Of course, a hike in southeast Alaska usually just ends up being a bushwhack. Of course, it's not any easier when you're carrying a 9-foot fly rod in front of you. Makes life a big challenge.
It got really thick and tight in there, so I kind of came down the hill, and when I did, I was expecting to hear the river because I'd been following it pretty much the whole way, and when I got to the bottom of the hill I still couldn't hear the river, so I had to pull the GPS out just to make sure that I was going the right way. And GPS says that I wasn't wrong, so we're just gonna keep going. I made it to the ocean. Still no sign of my river, but I did make it to the ocean.
Some places were nice and open like this. Then you'd take 3 steps and you'd be in thick brush again. All in all, it took me about an hour and a half to make it to the ocean, which isn't too bad considering what southeast Alaska has to offer as far as terrain.
Been a while since I've been that far off in directions. It's a little tougher here than back where I'm from because you can't see through the trees to get any bearings. But we found it. Now, as long as there isn't anything I can't get around on the way up, should just be a good fishing trip.
The top end of this river gets heavy pressure for steelhead, for southeast Alaska anyways. I figured there should be some untouched steelhead in the lower part of the river. Of course, when you fish parts of the river that no one else does, don't plan on any trails or easy places to cast. They won't be there. It was a combination of slippery rocks and logs, thick brush, waist-deep water, and a good time. I've never had the best balance, but at least there was plenty to hang on to, as long as you didn't grab some devil's club. I'm no steelhead expert, so my plan was just to fish every good-looking hole.
That's going to be a good time.
Of course, there was a lot of crawling and scrambling between fishing holes.
You can see the sky above the ocean through the trees. That was an hour worth of walking and fishing. This is hard work, but it sure is a good time.
I have a rule in southeast Alaska. The closer something is to brown, the slicker it's going to be. The closer it is to green, the better foothold you'll have. It served me well, but it can lead you astray time to time, and I did take one pretty good swim.
Rush there. I would film myself doing it, but trying to get a camera in place and then going back and doing it is just too much work. So you'll just have to imagine.
It took me about 3 hours of fishing before I saw another person. Ironically, right after I saw another person was the only time I caught another fish. He definitely wasn't a steelhead, but it's good to know that I can catch more than just sticks.
Well, when he's got about another 2 feet on him, he'll be perfect.
Once I saw people, I didn't have the heart to fish too much more, so I just started working my way towards the truck. It had been a fantastic day. I managed to catch a steelhead have a couple other strikes, explore a stream I'd never been on before. Doesn't get much better than that. I'm looking forward to doing this more frequently once I get up here.